This is the moment of truth, live on YouTube. Today, it's a glorious day. Can you believe it? It's warm. I've had a change of clothing, so I've got something a little bit lighter on today. The skies are blue. It feels like summer. It's unbelievable. So with the change of weather and the nicer working environment, let's have a change of stimulus. I feel like I want one, and so do you. I've got some jobs to do up at the front of the boat. I've got something particular in mind. Let's go and unlock and have a look. So I've been really looking forward to getting stuck into some of the systems on the boat, as well as all the steel work. And we're going to start today with this. This is the Windlass, and I've no idea whether this Windlass works or not. And we've got the Windlass with the chain, which goes down into the chain locker. And again, I've no idea just how old this chain is and what kind of condition it's in. Now, the Windlass is part of pretty important safety equipment aboard a boat, probably one of the most important things, I'd say. Apparently, globally around the world, 11.8% of maritime accidents are due to the anchor. So we need to make sure that this is 100% going forward. If the steel at the stern is going to be 10%, we need to make sure the front's 100%. That way we balance everything out. So the first thing I've done is I've opened the curtains. It's absolutely beautiful in here. It's warm. I don't know why I've got my hat on. I ought to take it off. I might open the windows, let a bit of breeze through here as well. Look at that. That works. Right, let's go forward and have a look where the Windlass is in relationship to the rest of the boat. We've got to try and figure out how this works. It's about as messy in here as it is anywhere. Right, so there we can see there is the anchor chain. Oh, look at that. That's my PPE box. I don't use that very often. Ooh. There's me. Look at all this stuff in here. PPE, look. Masks, gloves, more masks. All right. Before I start diving into that anchor locker up at the front, I think I need to have a bit of a sort out in here. There's lots of stuff that's been chucked down here. I've forgotten what it was. It's been in here for about a year. Let's go through it, sort it out, get rid of the junk, keep what we need to keep, and then I can get to the front there much easier. So I'm just trying to remember why these pieces of wood are in here. And the reason is we have these stainless steel fittings. These are to do with the holding the windows open. And I've kept these because I really want to keep these fittings, and I've never got round to actually taking them off. So what I can do is I've just whipped these off now, and then we can chuck this on the wood pile and we can keep the stainless steel fittings. Oh, yeah. Ooh, look at that damp. Clearly got damp coming down there. It's probably one of those stanchions. So the process of tidying up this forward cabin, the V-berth, seems to be a process of going from being untidy in one cabin to untidy in another. And if Rachel was here, I'd be in a lot of trouble now. And before Rachel sees it, I think I better get this galley cleaned up. Right, that'll do for now. It's far too sunny and warm to be tidying up. I was going to do some vacuuming up in there using the DeWalt shop vac kind of thing, the wet and dry. But it was full of water. I don't know how long it had been full of water, and it was stinking. So I went to decant it into the sink, but the sink's not emptying for some reason. It was doing. That's supposed to go straight out. So I wasn't able to use that. I ended up having to use Rachel's Shark, a little tiny thing that she uses. But it does the job. Right, let's go forward. Let's actually get some work done then, rather than all this playing around, making things pretty. So let's figure out then where the windlass is, have a look at the front locker, and see if we can find the cables and figure out where they go to. So there we are, inside the bow. So where is the windlass then? So the windlass must be here above us, and these look like they're the cables. Right, so those cables, there's 3, and I'm not sure what they're for. Definitely at least one's got to go to the windlass, maybe 2. I think one of them goes forward to like a 12-volt socket that's at the front on the stern. I'm not 100% sure, but they seem to come back to this box. Can we see? This is the box, and I'm assuming, because I can't get in here, it's screwed on. Let me go and get a screwdriver. It's that warm. Took my jacket off. I can't see. What have we got? Yep. Oh, spider's web. So what I believe is happening here is this comes from the battery, 12 or 24 volts, probably 24 volts, not sure. This is a high rupture fuse. It'll be 160 amps, it says on there. It'll be a ceramic fuse. It looks quite old-fashioned. That's supplying a positive to these solenoids. This looks like a dual pole solenoid, and it's switched by this wire. So this wire must go to a switch somewhere. It's fused, that's the fuse to protect this wire, and then that must go off somewhere to a switch. And I'm assuming, I can't see very well from here, you can alter the polarity. So one way goes one direction, the other way goes another direction, so that we can change the direction of the motor, because it's a DC motor. So what I need to do first is find out how we supply power to this, because this is going to supply the whole of the windlass. So hopefully it's just a matter of switching on a few breakers, but let's have a look. Now I'm really disappointed in myself. I bought a brand new test meter specifically with this job and some of the other electrical jobs in mind, and I've been tripping over it for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and now that I actually need it for this job I can't find it. Not to worry, I've got my old one, that one, the one that Simon laughed at. It's an alternator tester, but it'll test a battery. But it'll test here, it'll do the 12 volt, and it might not do 24 volt. It says 12.5 volts, but we'll give it a go. I'll see if I can attach this somewhere so that I can see the lights and the indicators from up there and try some of the breakers, because it's not obvious on the breakers what's to do with the windlass and what's not. So I'm hoping I can see that light up from back here. Do I have line of sight? Probably not. Right, a little bit tight in here, because I've got this curtain up to try and keep the cats out of this cabin that keep frequenting the place. It doesn't make a very good job. They were in here last night setting off the alarms. Right, let's turn on the 24 volts. To be honest with you, I don't think that the power supply to that is going to go through these breakers, because these are low current breakers and that's up to 160 amps. So thinking about it, I'm in the wrong place here. There's got to be another isolator somewhere that's to do with that. So I'm going to have a look at these isolators I have down here at the side of me in the engine room. I think they're to do with the engine, but let's have a look. Starboard engine, port engine. Can't read this. Bow thruster and winches. That looks promising. So we need a key for that. Right, let's turn that on. And I think, look at that. I don't know whether it's supposed to light up like that, but there's definitely power there. So it comes directly through that breaker. Right, so feeling pretty accomplished. That was good work, Sean. Good thinking then. I did waste a little bit of time on the breakers, and then I thought to myself, hang on a minute, this is not going to be fed from those breakers. And it turns out it was those isolators, those engine isolators. So now we've got power to the windlass. The next thing is, how do we switch it? That's the next thing. Now that might be isolated. So I'm going to go onto the cockpit and just see if there's anything on the cockpit that might be related to a windlass. Now I've found this. This seems to be bow thruster by the looks of it, and anchor, up and down. So as remote control, what's the chance this works? There's an on button. Well, that's looking pretty sad. Right, so that doesn't work, doesn't switch on. Does it take a battery? Let's have a look. So to get into it, I've had to take out all these screws. Takes a battery. I don't know what battery that is. So I might be scuppered when it comes to this remote control. I'm going to have a little look. There's a little cupboard. It's the electrical cupboard, and it's full of all sorts of bits and pieces, which is now covered in grinding dust. But I'll have a look, see if I can see a battery in there. If not, I'm going to have to look for a manual switch. If we can't find a manual switch, we'll have to hotwire it. But I want to have a look at this, see if we can get this remote control working. Let's go through it all. You never know your luck. Sadly, there was one of every fuse known to man inside that cabinet. But no batteries that fit. A few AAAs and AA's, but this is smaller. It's kind of like one of those camera batteries. So I've got to figure out what that battery is. I'll do a little bit of reading, and we'll have to order one. In the meanwhile, let's figure out another way of seeing if this windlass will work. It's been a long time since I've been down here. You remember this, last year's videos when we were moving the containers. What am I doing down here, I can hear you all ask? Well, I'm looking for the switching mechanism for the windlass, and I'm fairly sure, thinking about it, that it's in here somewhere. I'm sure I've seen kind of a winch remote control device in here, one that plugs in. It's full of all sorts of junk in here, so I'm not edging my bets on being able to find it, but let's have a look. Ooh, a bit of a pigsty because we've been moving things in and out. Motorcycles, that was a project. Motorcycle engines, daughter's old scooter, Rachel's treadmill. She can't use at the moment because she does have a problem with the leg, which is why you don't see much of her these days. She's waiting for an operation. A dining table, and the rest of it is boat junk. So I think it's going to be in those grey boxes. So let's look in the first box and see what we've got. The beauty about being old, just straighten you up. The beauty about being old and having a failing memory is every time you go through your old junk, it's like getting something for the first time. And I'm always like, ooh, look what I've got. Well, that's just a load of warp. So that's not useful. Motorcycle exhausts. Portable ironing board. This is all stuff we found on the boat. Ooh. Nice lifting. Aye there. That's nice. And try and swap now. Oh, that's heavy. Quick shifty. There we go. Third box out of 4. That's not too bad. Mission accomplished. So, does this work? 10 years plus. We shall see. If you haven't figured it out yet, it is the next day. And we've gone from that beautiful summer sunshiny day to this windy cold day. I've got my jacket on. I might have to zip it up. But I'm up at the front at the windlass. And this is the plug where I think we need to install that switching unit. This is the moment of truth, live on YouTube. Keep myself clear. Does this work? Let's press down and see. Fingers crossed. Nothing. I can hear clicking though. Next trick then is to try and figure out what's gone wrong with the windlass. I think the first step is going to be to try and get this chain off the gypsy to take some of the strain off the motor, and then we can have a look. We'll play with the motor and see what's happening. It's a little bit tight. The chain's not completely wound in. I can't just release it from the gypsy, otherwise the chain is just going to free fall uncontrolled. So I'm going to try and lock it into place with this locking mechanism that I believe's here. It's a bit heavy, so I'm going to try and use a bit of rope just to try and secure it and pull it and give me some slack to get this lock in place. Let's just take this back cover off and see if we can figure out what's going on. Right, so there's two terminals here. Both terminals, when we press the down, I don't know if you can see that. I don't have enough hands, but maybe you can see it now. So it lights up, suggesting it's switching power to here. This isn't really designed for this job. This is an alternator tester and I can't find my test meter. So there's a couple of different faults coming to mind at the moment. It can be sometimes that the stator, if that's the right word, is stuck. It's been stood for a long time. It also could be the brushes. We can get to the brushes here. Or it could be an electrical problem. And I'm not very sure without my test meter at the moment, just to find out exactly what's where. What next? Well, I'm going to first of all try twatting it. If in doubt, give it a clout. Don't know whether you noticed that, but we got a little bit of movement then in the stator. So I don't think the stator's stuck. And usually if the stator's stuck anyway, you get a little bit of buzzing because the coils are powered up and you often get a bit of heat and kind of a bit of buzzing and things. So I'm wondering if it's the brushes next, because I give it a bang and we got a little bit of movement. Let's just see if we can pop these brushes off and see what state they're in. So I think I've got three problems. First problem is, I think the brushes are done for. So I've got to try and get these brushes off, but I can't get them off. I've had a go, they're too tight. So I'm not going to be able to do that easily with hand tools here up on the front of the boat. The second problem is, it looks like the clutch is slipping. And again, that's probably debris and years of grime being stood for a while. But I've got to strip this apart, take the cone off the clutch, clean all that up and retighten it. And the third issue I've got is it seems that I don't think I'm getting activation for up, only for down. And I can't hear the solenoid clicking. So that might be a problem with that electrical box down there. I think what I need to do is I'm not going to be able to fix this in situ on the front of the boat. So I think the next job is we need to get this winch off. So that means we're back down here in the forward V-berth in the anchor locker, trying to figure things out. And I'm glad I'm down here today. I kind of thought I'd got things upside down a little bit. Yesterday, when it was beautiful and hot, I spent most of the day down here tidying up in the cabin and messing around inside this anchor locker. Today, it's freezing cold. I've been up on the deck with the Windlass. So I'm glad to be back down below right now. Started a job though, we need to get this finished. Now this is going to be a challenge because the Windlass is up above. If you can see, that's where the chain comes through into this anchor locker. There's a fair bit of corrosion there we need to deal with. But it looks to me like the Windlass is fastened in behind us. I can see one of the bolts there. So it might be a challenge to get to, and those bolts look pretty corroded. Sadly for me, there's 4 bolts altogether. There's 2 bolts forward, one there and one there. And I'm struggling to turn it with a spanner. I can't get a socket on it because this T-section's in the way. They've landed that in the worst possible place, right over that T-section. So I can't get a socket on it. The easiest thing for me to do is just to see if I can cut out part of this T-section, because I can fix that at a later date. And it will enable me to get to these bolts a lot better. So that's the plan. Can you see any more bolts up there? Well, I can't see. Let's go back up on deck and see if that's enough to free the Windlass.